Haas was now extremely puzzled, so he widened his search. He headed to the valley's mouth, through which any invaders would have had to pass.
If I was an approaching army, that's where I'd come. And that's where I should find defensive fortifications. There should be a wall going across it. They're easy places to put walls across all of these access routes.
But again, nothing.
There should be something to slow down the enemy, and in fact, there's nothing. There are no fortifications around any of these sites.
Jonathan Haas was now facing an uncomfortable truth. He had spent years pursuing the theory that warfare was the force that created civilization. And now, it was falling apart in front of him.
You seem to really have the beginnings of that complex society. And I'm able to look at it right at the start, and I look for the conflict, and I look for the warfare, and I look for the armies and the fortifications, and they're not there. They should be here, and they're not. And you have to change your whole mindset about the role of warfare in these societies. And so it's demolishing our warfare hypothesis. The warfare hypothesis just doesn't work.
The message of Caral was clear. Warfare had nothing to do with the creation of civilization, here at least. The whole quest to find out why civilization was formed would have to start again. The eyes of the world were now on Ruth. Everyone wanted to know what had been going on at Caral. If it wasn't warfare, what was it that brought these people to build their magnificent city? What emerged was that Caral was a society that knew how to have fun. Near the main temple, Ruth and her team found beautifully carved flutes made from the bones of condors.
The
flutes were the first things we found that showed people working as specialized craftsmen in Caral.
But the people of Caral also enjoyed more worldly pleasures. Back in the laboratory, Ruth's team unearthed fragments of the fruit of something called the achiote plant. Even today, it's used by rainforest tribes as body paint and food coloring. But it has one other use: to enhance sexual performance. They also found the shells of a creature called the Megabalinus snail. These were used as ornaments for necklaces. And inside one of them, they spotted traces of a mysterious white powder. It was lime. The team also found seeds from the coca plant at Caral, and that meant drugs. The lime, when mixed with the coca, enhances the effects of the cocaine in the coca plant. It's a powerful stimulant.
There are indications that they used drugs, because we have found little containers in which there was some lime. We also found inhalers made out of bone.
The shamans or holy men among certain Amazon tribes use something similar even today. The effects are dramatic. During the trance, they believe they're possessed by animal spirits. Ruth believes this kind of thing could have been happening during festivals in Caral all those years ago.
It's probable that during the very frequent religious ceremonies in Caral, there would have been some hallucinatory drug present.
But these finds told Ruth even more about Caral. The plant, the snail, and even the flutes were a clue to the basis of the whole civilization. Because they had one other very special quality. They were entirely alien to the desert surrounding Caral. They came either from high in the Andes or the rainforest. And that was 200 miles away. All these goods had been brought to Caral from far away. But why? The mystery deepened further. Ruth's team found that Caral didn't just import its pleasures. It also brought in the most basic commodity of all, food. It seemed the staple diet of Caral was completely bizarre for a city deep in the desert. It was fish. There were endless fish bones, mainly of sardines and anchovies. They could only have come from the Pacific coast more than 20 miles away. There was now a real puzzle. Goods of all kinds seemed to be flooding into Caral from all over Peru. Why? What was happening at Caral that drew them there? The mystery of Caral was now captivating Jonathan Haas and Winifred Kramer. Ever since the collapse of the warfare idea, they'd roamed the valleys around Caral hunting for clues for an alternative theory. Their wanderings took them over the hills to the neighboring valleys, and it dawned on them. All the valleys of Caral had one thing in common: rivers. Even today, Caral is fed by rivers flowing down from the Andes to the sea. These rivers would be the key in unlocking the mystery of why civilization first formed here at Caral. Because with rivers had come a huge technological advance: irrigation.
This is the simplest possible kind of irrigation system. All you needed to do was to take a hoe or something like that and scratch a little ditch from the river to a piece of land, and you could tell that you were going at the right angle because the water would follow right in.
The valleys near Caral are crisscrossed with ancient irrigation trenches, and irrigation would have transformed the desert.
Once I bring water off of that river to the Peruvian desert, that desert blooms. Once I get water to it, it just is the most productive land you could possibly hope for.
Jonathan believed Caral was once a huge Garden of Eden. Here in the middle of the desert, it would have been a vast oasis of fruit and vegetable fields. It would have made Caral one of the wonders of the ancient world.